The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
The Hitchback is sponsored by J.S. Johnson, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and Burger King.
Afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome to the Hitback. Today, Tuesday, February 15th, I'd like to extend happy post-Valentine's greetings to you all, and thank you for listening to our show today. Today, we are talking quite a bit about inflation. As a matter of fact, in preparation for this show today, I visited a few grocery establishments and looked at the price of food. To join us via live conversation to call into the show today, please dial 323-6232. That's 323-6232 or 325-4316, as well as 325-4259. If you'd prefer to text, please text 422-4796. Now, in my quest to really look at the cost of inflation as it relates to food, I visited a few food establishments, grocery establishments, and if you've been to the grocery store lately, you'll notice just how much the cost of food has increased. I saw cheese, a 12-count cheese for $4.72, a gallon of milk for $7.69, ground beef, 1.3 pounds for $7.14. Wings were $2.19 a pound. A whole chicken was $10. Lamb chops were 8 pieces for $25. Rice was $4.39. Broccoli was $5.16. Eggs were $3.20. Bacon $10. And the list continues. Romaine lettuce was $6.49. Iceberg lettuce was $2.96. Now, for many of us, we go grocery shopping on either a weekly or a monthly basis. And having a conversation with just a few friends a few weeks ago, actually talking about grocery shopping, something came up in the conversation that I have never really given thought to. And you know what? It's just naive, being very naive. The fact that there are people that live in our communities who have to go to the grocery store every day, because every day they actually have to make money to purchase food on a daily basis to take care of their family members and to feed their family members. So seriously speaking, are you feeling the pinch as it relates to grocery shopping for your family? My expert guests today include Precious Fortune, who is the outreach manager for Hands for Hunger. She is a national consultant for the United Nations Food Agriculture Organization and the chief of people and culture at 242 Jobs. She loves to volunteer and spend a lot of her time through communities making an impact. Precious, welcome to today's show.
Thank you, DeQuessa. It's a pleasure to be here.
Also joining the show today is fitness guru from J Fitness, Mr. Donovan Roll, who is a husband and father born and raised in Nassau, Bahamas. He is a graduate of St. John's College, and y'all know those Sackers always need an opportunity to big themselves up, right? So big up to the Sack crew today. He graduated from Edward Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. He is an avid fitness and sports expert who has amassed numerous awards and acclamations in the fields. He has even participated in the Ironman Triathlon and is an author who focuses on how to get your mind right. Donovan, welcome to the show today.
Good evening to your listeners. Testing. Yes, and thank you for having me, DeQuessa, on the Hitback. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. And our final guest for this segment is nutritionist and health guru, Shay King. Shay's personal mission towards eating healthier and becoming educated about being proactive in the field of health for the benefit of her and her family started in 1997. 24 years later, Shay is now a licensed and certified holistic nutritionist, a mother of 5, and today her work and passion has turned into a full-blown movement. Coach Shay King, welcome to today's show. Now, let's have a real conversation, guys. I think Shay may be having some audio issues, and as soon as she can join us, she will. Now, I remember being a little girl in primary school, and I don't know how many of you actually remember this, but as a little girl in primary school, I remember that there were special lunches at lunchtime that came out for kids at school who did not bring lunch to school. And this was a lunch program designed to help make sure that children had nutritious meals for lunch. And back in the day then, too, as kids, we can be a little brutal. We can be a little insensitive. There was some teasing about this welfare package. And I don't know if anyone else remembers that time. But as we were having the conversation a few weeks ago, my friends and I started to think back about how far I could remember food security being a thing. The reality is there are many people who are living in our communities paycheck to paycheck who are doing their best to stretch their dollars to feed their families. It could be a family of 2, it could be a family of 4, it could be a family of 6, it doesn't matter. So much has happened in the past few years that everyone is feeling the financial pinch. In my quest to become a bit more frugal, I joined a group on Facebook called Frugal Living. And in the group, there is a lot of conversation about food banks, the availability of food banks, and that's one of the methods that people use to stretch their budget as it relates to feeding their families. Precious, as we start our conversation today on food security, being very cognizant of the fact that there are container shipment interruptions, that brands that we are comfortable with and that we know of are becoming less available, and if they are, the prices are going up. Can you tell us a bit about what steps are being taken from the private community to help families in need of food?
Oh, so this is a very great question. As you know, I work with Hands for Hunger. We love to pride ourselves of being like the first responders of food assistance. I see for us, since the pandemic has hit, H4HB have opened up a food pantry on Carmichael Road. And that amazing pantry is a way to allow the general public or persons that are in need of food assistance to be able to get the necessary food supplies that they want, but they get it in a way where it's with dignity, and they actually have a choice with the type of items that they receive. So this food pantry is probably the first and one of its kind here in Nassau, or should I say throughout the Bahamas. And what we've been looking to do is expand that to allow for more food pantries, not just in Nassau, but throughout the Family Islands, and also in schools and different other areas throughout different communities. Where we've also tried to expand, like persons having access to what is something similar like a food bank, is working through a lot of our agencies, which if they have the supplies in certain communities, they are able to have a greater impact in that area, and persons are able to go. So let's say if you live in Carmichael, you don't have to drive all the way to Angleton to get some sort of food supply. You can go right in your community from one of these agencies and get the assistance that you need. I think pantries are definitely needed because you'll be surprised to see how much persons rely and count on these day-to-day food items. And so there's so much more work to be done as it relates to food pantries, and not just having a food pantry, but also ensuring that persons have access to foods that have some sort of nutritional value, vegetables and fruits and meat and poultry, and not just the regular canned items. Because for a country where we are plagued with high blood pressure and diabetes and obesity, the last thing we need eating is this quote unquote corned beef, the quote unquote mackerel, the quote unquote canned tuna, none of the canned items. And so it's very important to not just have these food banks or food pantries, but also provide access to foods that are going to, to help us have a great health. And so, yes, that's important.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Precious, because it is important for people to have access to food without fear of, we are very prideful people, and it's nothing wrong with that. We think about what people will think, and we do our best to not want help or not need help. And there are times when we really do need help, though. How do we begin to remove the stigma around needing that sort of help? Because there's nothing wrong with it. Food is a basic need. Food is something that we need to fuel our bodies to stay alive, and there should be no shame or stigma surrounding the need for help. I've seen some amazing work in the community with a lot of churches, a lot of groups giving food out in the community. And Precious, you're right. Like a lot of times when we're even preparing for hurricanes, we are looking at canned goods because, of course, they are non-perishable. But how do we begin, and Shay King and Donovan, you guys can jump into the conversation at any time. How do we begin to remove the stigma of having support by going to a food bank? Boy, Shay, so you're talking, but we hear no audio from you. So while we wait on Shay to get sorted out, perhaps Jay or Precious, one of you can go ahead.
I guess I could jump in and I can say like education awareness. The first thing is people understanding why the food banks are there and why accessing it, why they have the opportunity to access it. She's back? Let her jump in.
We still can't hear her.
Yeah, so, with persons having a greater understanding of why, they are able to have access to food, I think that's the first way in reducing the stigma. In addition to that, creating a better client relationship experience. The minute someone hear, oh, I need food, people they're filled with shame and anxiety. You understand what I'm saying? They don't want to be, they fear long lines. They fear interacting with disgruntled workers or persons that are going to be dismissive or cold and have bad attitude. So, for us, we never consider people we are giving support or help to. We don't call them that. We call them clients. They are our clients. We treat you like a client. We want you to feel like you are a client. And so the first step is making people feel very warm inside and, restoring that dignity, restoring that trust and hope, because there's nothing worse than, you need food assistance and you go to an organization to get assistance and someone then call down the road to Tom and Sue to tell them, well, y'all, you hear Lisa was in here. She was on the line to get some food stamps. What you think happened? We as a people need to stop that. So, all these different things are going to help reduce that stigma, but it got to begin with us as a people, more importantly.
Awesome. And what I love about the work that I see a lot of community groups, a lot of churches doing anonymously is reaching out and helping people without showcasing it all over social media. So I think if people felt safe coming into these environments to be able to get food without fear of their faces being plastered over because everybody has to know that you gave and all that sort of stuff, I think people would be a bit less reluctant to come in and to get support. We do see it. I do have a texter saying that great show as usual, that stigma will never be erased because of the different class of people and because of human nature. But we do need more people to make or take the opportunity to connect with food banks versus sit down and be hungry, right? And then some people may not want to do that. How then, Shay or Jay, can we stretch our dollars at the grocery store? We may not be able to purchase fruits and vegetables in 1 week. We may not be able to purchase those quote unquote healthier options all in 1 week. But what are some of the methods that people who may not want to use food banks but want to still provide healthy options for their family members? What are some of the things that they can do to, in smaller steps, inject a bit of healthier options as they budget shop?
Right. I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, Shay, you've been trying so long to get through. I have to let you go. I have to let you go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jay. First, I want to say to the texter that just texted in and talk about that stigma not being, people are still holding on to that stigma. I disagree with that because one of the things Precious said was that the food banks are now looking at having better quality foods. I can honestly tell you, I would always dismiss a food bank because of the quality of the food, because I've been eating on the pathway I've been eating for such a long time, and I've always dismissed food bank. It didn't have anything to do with me for stigma. Even when I would go to food banks to offer food, I would offer the food that I would eat, and for the most part, you had very few people taking advantage of that. Now, I want to say I went to the food bank on Carmichael Road. Let me tell you something for the first time. I was blown away. I was shocked. I was pleasantly surprised. I walked around. I had the opportunity to speak to Stacy. Let me tell you something. I was so proud that this was a food bank here. First of all, in the Carmichael area, it was clean. The people were pleasant. And when I saw the variety of nutritious food, listen to me, I was truly, truly impressed. And so I think we as a community are doing our part to make food banks look a lot different from what we're accustomed to. So people like me, that don't worry about the stigma, will go to a food bank because there are more foods available. And when we think about foods that are available, the Questa, I know for a long time, we have not had access to good quality, nutritious food that was affordable, but times are changing. Foods are really more affordable now. I remember there was a time if you wanted one apple, you would have to come up with almost $2. And, being a mother of 5, listen, I always found ways to shop in the grocery store. And one of the things over the years I can tell you is that I always wait for Thursday because that's when the new stuff come in. And Wednesday, the stuff that is, that is nutritious is available at a discount cost. And so there are tons of ways you can connect with your local grocery stores to find good, nutritious, and affordable food. And one of the ways is I tell people right away, if you go to, we're not calling names, but to most of the local food stores, listen, honey, Thursday is when the new trailer comes in, honey. So the deals are available all day Wednesday, and the deals are available on fruits, vegetables, even meat. So today, I really feel like there's really no more excuses. There's tons of ways that we can talk about right here on this platform of different ways a family of 5 can really find nutritious and healthier food. Yes. We are no longer stuck in having to buy these canned foods just because that's all that is available affordably. Things have changed.
Great.
And it has changed for our betterment.
Thank you so much for that, Shay. As a matter of fact, the other day when you did go to the store to catch your sale, I think it was on a Wednesday, you say, hey, this is what's happening at this particular store. Go there and load up on your, I think it was organic greens and spinach and that sort of stuff. And I was blown away that I could get that pack of spinach for $2. Absolutely. So you just need to know the tricks. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Shay and Precious commented on touched on a few things that, and both of those things, when I heard it, it went back to your mindset, because if you are in need of food, I think many of us, our mind is like, I don't want to be seen on the food line. So we allow outside factors to dictate what is going to happen into our home. We are in need, but we are not accepting the assistance offered to us because we are afraid of the stigma associated with it. So that's one thing there. And also, Shay spoke about how people say it's difficult to eat nutritious. It's difficult to find nutritious meal. Yes, I think it isn't as easy, but if you have the right mindset, if you commit to saying that I would like to do better in my meal choices and what I prepare for me and my family, because I understand that it would positively affect the longevity of my family and my children's children. And I think once we put those things into place, adjust our mindset, these things would be possible.
Oh, I love that because it is a mindset, right? I have a texter now sharing an example of how they can be in a grocery store and picking up spam, and their coworkers, if they see them, would be saying, "Look at you, you doing bad in life." And the reality is that question of what will people think is a question that will keep us away from our dreams, will keep us away from getting help when we need help. It will prevent us from reaching out when we really need to reach out. So we have to become comfortable enough within ourselves to understand that it's okay to need help. That help could be temporary. It doesn't have to be permanent. It could just be a season of our lives. But we must be willing to push through those thoughts that tell us that us, and even if they talk about us, who really cares, right? As long as as long as our families are fed, that is what the bottom line is. Now, recently I was watching a TV program where I saw this teacher doing some amazing things. She actually, because of the pandemic and understanding that there were some students that came to school and were only able to eat good at school because they could get like a lunch at school, what she started to do was to package goodie bags for her students to take home, so that when they were at home during the pandemic, when school was closed, that every week there was a food bag available for those students to pick up so that they can have meals. I mean, you would be amazed at the amount of people. We just have to look at the work that's going on in our community when we see the amount of support that the feeding programs are now getting. There was a whole drive-through support for one feeding program on Saturday. There's a call for support from so many other organizations that are assisting. We see that people want to help, but we now have to make ourselves available for that support. In the group that I talked about, where there's this frugal living group, people are talking about the fact that there is food at the food banks being thrown away because people are not coming to get the food because of the stigmas, right? And so, Precious, I know that hunger in children is something near and dear to you. I believe every child deserves a bright future. I believe every child should have a belly full. And to me, my grandma used to say a belly full is a belly full. I don't subscribe to that. But before we come to that, the initiative that you're doing in schools, though, I just want to ask you, for people who do not qualify for food support, people who, I know that there's a certain criteria that one may have to meet in order to get this support. So you don't meet that support. Let's say you want to give your children or your family something healthy to eat. Can you say, do a vegetable a week? So we'll have 1 week where we purchase broccoli and we infuse broccoli in different meals, add it to different meals. The next week we can choose carrots. So instead of having more than one vegetable option, we have at least one that we can have per week. That would really help us to also control our spending. And then, Donovan, my question to you is, when we have no option but to eat these non-perishable foods that Precious alluded to earlier, the canned foods, right? Is there a way to offset eating that food with exercise so that we can still be healthy, or no?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I heard Shay a few times, so this is where me and are going to agree completely. Yes, they say you cannot out-eat a bad diet. I'm a living testament that I out-exercise a bad diet. Clearly, I don't do it consistently, but there's times when I just eat what I want to eat, but it goes back to balance. And so most people say the rule is 80% in the kitchen, 20% exercise. I flip that script. I'm more of a 70% exercise, 30% nutrition. That being said, we have to be mindful that we're not malnourished, because like you said, a belly full is a belly full, but I think everyone shook their head in the negative to say no, because we can have a full belly but still be completely nourished without having our necessary vitamins and minerals and nutrients of the sort. So we have to make sure, depending on your dietary needs, depending on your wellness goals, that you eat towards them. We know most guys who want to retain the muscle mass, they'll have a higher protein diet. More extreme endurance athletes would have a higher carbohydrate diet. But I think I'm here. I want to be a champion for those who believe in that you can outwork a bad diet. So I'm ready to champion that. I'm your house, someone else's leader of the woman. I'll be the leader of outworking a bad diet them.
Lord, look how we
that
can
being
drop you
said-
from this call.
But that being said,
I can eat that because I
No,
feel that.
I with you, Precious. But with that being said, we have to make sure, though, we need to adjust it to get to. I have the luxury now because I did what was necessary to get to this point. I also am prepared to do what is necessary to maintain it. If you're not ready, if you're not prepared to put in the miles, put in the resistance training, get the adequate rest, increase your flexibility, then don't do what I do.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared. I'm prepared to work. If you're prepared to cut back, I'm not. So if you're prepared to do that and not prepared to put in the work, that's where the balance comes into play. Because I think Shay would jump in and let you know that, weight loss just occurs from a simple of 500 calorie deficit a day. So however you go about that, once you maintain necessary nutrients you need to function throughout the day, you will be fine.
Shay?
Listen to me. You know what? I'm going to say this. I do agree with Donna. To a certain extent, when you are a mature adult, you have a little bit more flexibility when you can, go hard in one area because you kind of messed up in another area. But particularly now, when it comes to our children and the youth, I think we have to lean the flexibility more towards nutrition. When I was, I volunteered at the Stapleton School for Special Needs Children for 5 years. And one of my reasons and passion for volunteering there was I needed to see the children have an opportunity to eat better. And the thing is, whether we fully understand the magnitude of it, research has shown that when you look at nutritional value, it does play a role in the growth of a child, how they receive their education, how they perform. And so there's an overall wellness when you look at food being the 75% of that pie. So the thing is, there is flexibility when you're younger and you are a growing adolescent. I think nutrition plays a pivotal role. And when we look at even the balance, we know sometimes that some of the families out there, they cannot necessarily always afford all of the fancy vegetables, all of the rainbow colors on their plate. But there are ways, I like to refer to it as 50-50 or good, better, best, that you can improve the diet. For instance, if you have a traditional, let's say bad, Bahamian average diet on the plate when you're going to school for the children, I am one of those parents that believe that if you are going to introduce a vegetable for the first time to a child, you don't introduce it in abundance, because immediately the child is going to have I don't want that. And so what you do is you always pair a new vegetable or food that is more nutritionally dense with a food that they would like. Come to the food versus be shunned from the food. And I think those are ways as parents that we can introduce more vegetables to our children, and also keep an open mind, because let me tell you something, children are so much more open than we think when it comes to food. When I was at the Stapleton School, I remember going into the school for the first time, and the staff and the principal, let me say to you, they welcomed me with open arms, because as a community partner, when you're coming into it, you're going to meet resistance. At the Stapleton School, I didn't meet any. And when I met with the parents, the only thing I had said to them was, please give me the opportunity to allow the children to see something different. And I remember this one particular child, the only thing that this child ate was noodles, nothing else. And I don't know, it was because that's what all the child had available or that's what all the child ate. Needless to say, within 2 years, this child was not only eating vegetables that we had grown locally in the Stapleton School, but he was like my little chef in the kitchen, helping me to blend the vegetables that we grew locally, and the children received the food. And so I know sometimes as parents, we talk about, my child don't like this. I feel that they are just basically looking at what you're looking at, or you as a parent thinking that the child may not be open to introducing to new foods. And I think one of the ways we can is just simply start to, even if it's one new vegetable, start to look at vegetables that are in season and introduce these foods to our children a lot earlier in life. They should not be introduced to vegetable at 5.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Shay King. I had a texter text in to say, would you date someone you see on the food line? And you're black or white. I live in shades of gray. And so really, I prefer someone doing something versus sitting down being a victim. So I would absolutely date someone who is feeding their family by standing on a food bank line because they're doing something versus waiting for something to come to them. Now, Shay and Donovan and Precious, you guys started to talk about children very near and dear to me. So when we get back from this break, I want to pick up the conversation on how we can support our kids and make sure that they have access to food, that no child goes hungry.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment option, a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Our state-of-the-art technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361 or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
And welcome back to our show today. Remember to contribute to our conversation. You may call 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. To text, please text 422-4796. We're back today talking about a little bit about the cost of food, a little bit about food security. Before we went off to break, we were talking about introducing more nutritious and healthy foods to our children. Of recent years, I've seen a bit of outrage with regards to the amount of children that we're seeing on the street nowadays at the traffic lights, soliciting funds or selling products so that they can help their parents or help themselves earn money for school supplies or just basic living needs. Every child deserves a good childhood, and every child deserves the right to have all of their basic needs met. And it's heart-wrenching to realize and recognize that not every child has a nutritious meal every day. Some children go without food. As adults, we're a bit more resilient. We're a bit more accustomed to sacrificing our needs to make sure that our kids, make sure those the younger ones in our families eat. We may have less so that they can have more. But there is an initiative going on now that is designed to support children and to make sure that they have enough or more than enough so that no child goes to bed hungry. I vividly remember a conversation that I had with one of my very close friends who's given me permission to share that if the food levels in the home goes below a certain point, he has anxiety. He gets anxiety because as a child, there was not enough food in the house. So he works extremely hard to make sure that their pantry is always stocked because of the fear of not having enough for him and his family to eat. Many of us have triggers, and this is a trigger that an adult male is having to make sure that his family is always provided for because he understands what it feels like to go to bed on bread and tea. Precious, I know that you have a program that's designed to help the little children, a pantry program of sorts. Can you tell us about what that program is, and let's discuss how we can make sure no child goes to bed hungry here in the Bahamas?
Well, I won't announce the program as yet because it will be announced very soon. But what I can say is what we've continued to do is work closely with a lot of schools, even during the pandemic. And what that meant is providing kids with access to food as much as possible. What we saw, like, for instance, during the pandemic, when the schools closed, a lot of kids would have been going to school, like you say, to rely on their one and only meal. And so when the schools closed, of course, the question would have come, where are we going to get food from to eat for lunch? And so, of course, with H4H, we had to bridge that gap. And so we started providing students with meal kits during the pandemic once the schools were closed. And what that looked like, students were able to pick up their meal kits on a Monday, and they would have had 5 meals for the week, which were prepared by chefs, and they all held nutritional value. And it also had, they had their fruits and their water. And so now that the schools have reopened, of course, we're here trying to figure out how do we bridge that gap to allow kids who may not have as much as other kids to have that access to food supplies. And I think up to sort of a solution, which is in the form of, having something directly on campus. And, what I would love to see going forward in the future is like removing the stigma surrounding kids getting that food, that lunch or whatever at school, and creating a universal program, which means that every child has access to food regardless of what type of family they come from. And I think once you remove that, like who's deserving and who's undeserving of who gets to be on the lunch program, you will find that every child will go into class well-fed, they're able to function. Studies show that if a child is able to have access to their meals, they can actually function in class. But when children, they don't know where their next meal is coming from, they haven't had breakfast, they barely had something for lunch, they're not likely going to perform as well in the schools. And so, we're working very hard on sort of like to put a dent to, add some sort of long-term solution where kids do not have to go far and they will be able to have the much needed food access directly on campus. So, of course, I'm going to tell people to stay tuned and listen out for what's next from Hands for Hunger. And of course, once it's announced, you to continue to support these programs because it takes a village to feed a village. It takes the community. It takes all of us to every single person from a young child to an adult to help us, feed people. So that's what I'm going to say.
I'm just loving the program. I'm loving the fact that there's going to be access for food for kids. It's a real situation in our community. It's a real, and it doesn't matter which island in the Bahamas you live in.
Correct.
Many of us have been tested for provision for our families. And a lot of times, we look for governmental support, so that the government will kick in and do something to support those that live below the poverty line, and to support even those who are above the poverty line but are barely making ends meet, right? Because there are so many economic sometimes we shift between those levels based on what's happening, and the government may do some of it. If it's enough is a question that we can debate and discuss another time. But there are also other organizations that are working really hard to make food available for the general public. I know during the pandemic, there were so many outreach centers available for people to go to pick up their food or to go to get a gift card. And I am of the belief that $50 is better than $0. And so we can, if we all do our part to help support community, I reference and go back to how to be a good Samaritan, whether we're religious or not. A good Samaritan is somebody who looks after their neighbor, and your neighbor can be anyone. Your neighbor can be the person that lives next door, or your neighbor can be someone that you don't even know. And there are opportunities when we can pay it forward. We can pay it forward in the grocery store if we have a surplus. We can bless someone in the grocery store to help them. If we, all we have to do is open our eyes, be alert, and we'll see when someone is in need of support and help. Now, we want to close this segment out talking a little bit more about mindset, though, because from what I'm hearing Precious say, there are programs that are available. I'm going to be, go out on a limb and say that we do need more. We do need more outreach centers that people can avail themselves to. And in order for us to have those outreach centers, we need organizations that can foot that bill, because there is a bill associated. Those things, they don't just show up.
Right. Question on asking. She asked the question, government is doing enough. But then you also say you need organizations to foot that bill. The reality of it is very expensive to feed people, not just feed people, but come up with a long-term solution. I do believe that we are not where we need to be as a country in terms of our social welfare systems. However, I do believe that we are slowly getting to the right track when I look at it from a food standpoint, because now more than ever, you see, we're trying to incorporate farming and agriculture. And the more we push that agenda, the more we add it into the schools. The schools are able to now feed themselves, allow the produce that they grow can help the vendors cook them healthy, nutritional meals. We're going to start combating the problems surrounding food insecurity and not having enough access to food.
Yes.
I like that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me just add to that quickly. I am agreeing with Precious. And Precious, listen, I need to find you because I need to volunteer, because you speak in my language. You're talking children and you're talking food.
Yes.
But one of the things I just want to say here quickly, for community persons, when we are donating, we have to, and because I used to have this mindset, I didn't want to donate because I thought they would throw away my good organic yellow grits and my brown rice. But I recognize that pantries are now accepting these kind of foods. And so I really want to use this opportunity to just advocate to people, take another look when it comes to food pantries, because just like Precious saying, when I went to Carmichael Road, let me tell you, I went there to drink something and I spent 40 minutes in there just looking at the place and the quality of what the pantry looked like. Whenever people are now thinking donation, yes, you can give grits, but it needs to be real grits, non-GMO. You can give rice instead of white rice, do brown rice. The children are more open and they understand now that the world is shifting more to quality, nutritious food as opposed to just anything, because a belly is not a belly full anymore, because we all know what the numbers is when it comes to disease and sickness and obesity in the Bahamas. And we have to do our part as an individual and as our part as a community partner with assisting in opportunities like this to feed our children, because our children are really the future. And so we have to consider that, not just consider it by saying it, but pouring into it and understanding that nutrition is definitely the foundation to make that happen.
Awesome. We do have a caller on the line. We'd like to welcome the caller to our show right now. I'd just like to encourage our callers to join our conversation, but make sure that we are not throwing people under the bus, because our conversation really is about having basic needs met. So caller, welcome to the call.
Come y'all, and the energy in the room is like, wow, great job, y'all. And we can see that people are eating, right, because we have a lot of obese people in the country, right? But guess what? There's Bamsi with all that vegetables and all the great stuff. Come on, make it available to everybody so that everyone can be able to not just eat, but have a well-balanced meal. Because tell the truth, a lot of people eating a lot of carbohydrates and they don't have any vegetables to go along with and so forth. So the energy in there, like I said, is great, and y'all keep up the good work, and all the best to y'all.
Thank you so much, caller,
Thank you,
for
thank you.
calling in. Thank you.
Can I
Let me
respond to the caller?
Okay, so
Go ahead,
Precious,
Jay.
you can respond, and then Jay is going to wrap this segment up. Go ahead.
I just want to say that she made the comment about Bamsi. And one thing I'll say for Bamsi is utilizing a lot of the produce that are coming from Bamsi and also from local farmers. But something that is very remarkable that I saw the other day is that they are now working with social services to provide the $20 vouchers where you can now get vegetable boxes. And so it goes back to my comment where we are slowly but surely progressing and heading in the right direction. And I think that's like it's gonna come. We just gotta be a tinge more patient and not eat. Go
Well, how
ahead.
you could be patient when you're hungry? Go ahead, Jay.
Right. You know, and like I say, a hungry man is an angry man. No good man. That's still holding true.
Go ahead.
So I just want to say you can sign me up as well, Fortune, and Shay, you touched on it, but I think it's more we need to take the welfare and the health of our children seriously, and that comes from the education of the adults. We're still stuck on you have to fatten up these children so if they get sick, they get something to lose. We still on when we introducing vegetables and fruits to the kids, we have to make sure it's with butter or with sugar. So therefore, they never get an appreciation of the vegetables. So now when they're moving forward, the vegetable has all kind of added stuff added to it. So it goes right back to mindset and to education and to understand, yes, because this didn't kill me, even though it's killing you slowly, doesn't mean I need, to give this to my child. One of the things we touched on it earlier about kids, and one of the things I remember with my oldest set of kids is that and children follow what you do. I was making sure they drank water, no sugary sauce, sweet beverages, water. And you'll find out that people would just offer your kids, here's a candy, here's some soda. Why they can't drink soda? Because I said no. You know what I mean? Let's build a habit. As life goes on, you're going to get into these things. So as best as you can, introduce the nutritious foods, introduce the importance of drinking water in the home. When they get out there, they already have a basis that they can fall back on. So just to wrap up again, it goes back to education. We need to adjust our mindset on what we consider what is healthy foods. And because we know better, we need to do better. And oftentimes, some of us in this industry, sometimes we be too hard on people because people don't know.
Yes.
I remember when I had my track career, I was back working out, and I thought a Snicker was equivalent to a protein bar. I always tell the story. It's absolutely not the same.
Yes.
It doesn't have as much protein. It has too much sugar. But I fell for the marketing. Someone who was as active as me all my life fell for the marketing. So that's when it comes to making yourself reading labels.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
that's another show we could get into all together.
Yes.
But just really make sure you have a fruit or
Yes.
vegetable as part of every meal, at least one a day. Let's just start there
Yes.
and move forward. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a process. Just continue to move forward. Like I can age myself. Paint your window black. Don't worry what someone else doing. Don't worry what someone else saying. Make sure you're doing what's best for you
Yes.
and your family. And we all could agree that health is the new wealth. So let's
Yes.
be wealthy people.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Donovan J. Rule. We do have a caller on the line. And before we go to break, we'd like to welcome the caller to the show.
Hello.
Hi. Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I had to go get some minutes to call you.
But thank you.
Yeah, because this is a serious matter. You know, I want to come from the word of God. You know, the Lord said, "Once this corners." Because I was listening to y'all and saying if you doubt somebody, would date somebody on the fourth line. And that's kind of like where our people are, you know. Our people, we are peculiar people. We got to learn to look out for one another. I want to say to people, because I know my kids, they're not like me. I have to teach them about being proud and getting pride. Pride goes before a fall. You don't want to be on the line begging all the time. But if you have to go there, if you have to go there, because it's the difference between begging and being a beggar. Because if you look at First James in the last voice, you would see where the Lord said, "Pure religion, undefiled before God and man, and the widows in their time of affliction, and not be spotted by the world." A lot of times we are giving out things, we are sounding a proud, we bragging about it. I want to say to my people, if you see somebody in the line asking for food, don't try to bring them down. Try to uplift them, because one day it could be you. Nebuchadnezzar could tell you about that. Thanks for allowing me the time.
Thank you so much for contributing. We do have another call on the line. Do we, Kermit? No? Okay, that's it. And so, guys, we're going to just wrap this segment up before we go over to the news. I want to just thank you for being here and contributing your expertise to the show today. I want to call on Bahamians far and wide, just like our caller just said, to courage, to ask for support when you need it. And I want you to believe that there is nothing wrong with needing help. And if somebody talks about you because you need help, it is not an indication of you needing help, but it's more an indication of the character of the person that's talking about you. And so don't let that be the cause of the reason why you or your family go without food or your basic needs. It's all a mindset. It's with the understanding that there are seasons in life. Sometimes we have these mountaintop experiences where we have an abundance and we can share from our abundance. And there are times when we have these valley experiences where we're just scraping through. And many of us have navigated all of these seasons. And so if you are in a valley experience in need of food, I encourage you to reach out, learn some of the tips for grocery shopping, the days that food go on sale. If you check your grocery store out, you can see which days food go on sale. You can check out your local farmers market to see and to compare prices to see how you can best stretch your dollars. You can look at implementing or introducing healthy food to your family one by one. But I want you to know that you're not alone. Support is available. Do your best not to care what people say, but to reach out and get that support. We will be back on the next side of this break.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or crispy chicken fillet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, tomato, bun. The new Baja Sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
And welcome back to the Hit Back with Duquesity Dean. At the first segment of our show, really talked about the inflation and container shipment interruption, which is resulting in the higher cost of food and the availability of food banks for the Bahamian people. If you would like to contribute, please go ahead and dial 323-6232, 325-4316, or 325-4259. If you'd like to text in, the number to text is 422-4796. Now, in our conversation earlier, we talked about the fact that there are seasons. We spoke about there being highs and lows, and we spoke about the fact that food costs are going up, but not just food costs. Everything around us, that would be electricity, that would be gasoline, that would be the cost of cars, that would be the cost of living. Everything is increasing. And so how do we offset these costs, the increase in these costs? Some say getting a better education is key. Some say that when you get a higher level education, you are repositioning yourself or positioning yourself to earn more money. And so many people opt to, after high school, go off to college, get their degrees. With those degrees, they're very hopeful that they can find high-paying jobs. The trades, it's in being a plumber or being an electrician. And some say it's an entrepreneurship where you work for yourself. But regardless of which of those three options, whether that's a higher education, whether that's being involved in a trade, or whether that's entrepreneurship, the thing is to up-level our lives, we need to up-level our skills and become an expert in a field, become the go-to person in our field, have a reputation of providing, if we are in a trade field, have a reputation of being really skilled at what we do, being creative, being a problem solver. If we are an entrepreneur, that we are actually meeting the needs of our clients. We see a problem, we're providing the solution. Or it could be that we're getting those business degrees, whether that's in business administration, whether that's being a CPA, whether that's in marketing, it doesn't matter. But we're becoming an expert in our fields. And the reason that we do that is so that we can provide a better way of life for ourselves and for our families. I'm a bit torn, to be honest with you. I'm a bit torn about whether education is the key as it relates to a degree education versus a skill education. The reality is all of us have the option to choose. From my bit of research, I've seen that there are many people without degrees who own companies that hire people that have degrees. But then I also recognize that there are people with degrees who are at the top of their games, leading larger organizations and even smaller organizations because they have the experience and the knowledge together, which will allow them to bring the vision of an organization to life. And then we have some people who just say, I'm not interested in working for anyone. I have a gift. I have mastered this gift, and I am now going to monetize this gift. So in the second portion of our show today, we are really going to be talking about how we up-level our options are available for us to do that. Back in the day when we graduated from school, and I can date myself, that would have been well over 20 years ago. The only option there was, our parents encouraged us once we got out of school to find a way to go to college, and that meant that some of our parents remortgaged their homes so that they can pay our college fees. Some of us went to college, and while we were in school, we were working jobs. Some of us were in college, and we were eating noodles 7 days a week because that's all we could afford. It was the sacrifice to be there to get this education. So that was back in the day. As we advanced in time, though, there were more and more options and more people being courageous enough to say that I don't want to go the traditional route. I actually want to be skilled because I'm gifted in this area. And there's no longer this stigma toward people who are in a skill or who are tradesmen. And those tradesmen make a whole lot of money. And there are people who are saying, hey, I know that I can make money with my business by being a small business owner or being self-employed. So our conversation this afternoon is really going to be talking about the options available, and we're going to debate a little bit about whether higher education is the route to take. And if you want to take that route, there are some options, and Legacy is here to talk to us about the support that can be given to students who are looking to fill out college applications and put their best foot forward. So I'd like to open the conversation up and welcome Chriselle Dean to the show. She is here representing Legacy, but coming all the way from France is, and I don't speak French. So Rachel, I am so sorry. I am not able to pronounce some of these vous and vos. My apologies, but Rachel, welcome to the show. Rachel and Chriselle. We do have entrepreneurs Shaking remaining with us, and Donovan J. Roll. So we're going to just start the conversation talking about the benefits of a higher education. I welcome Chriselle Dean and Rachel to comment and to share their feedback on that. You can go ahead and unmute yourself for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please forgive us because we are at St. John's getting ready for a special interest meeting. And so we are on my little phone. We're going to make it happen. Thank you for having us here. It's our pleasure. We got a little bit of the end of your show. But the case you were saying, you were talking about education and the importance of it. And you do have a point. I always say that, I'm an HR, but I always say, if I had to hire, I'm not going to look for the person with all the papers. I think it takes more than that to get the job done. And skilled careers are as equally as important as the academics. And I know in the time of my time growing up, academics was the thing. But I just had this conversation the other day. Those with skills are the ones who, during the pandemic, were able to eat, they were able to work, they were able to make money. So we're talking about the plumbers, the electricians, the carpenters, very important. And so the rest of those who had the papers couldn't make any money. So there is, both sides are important, but we need to stop looking down at skilled careers. We really need to. You said it earlier, you said there are some skilled persons who actually own businesses. And I see it, even in my time, the student who was not academically inclined is the one who's hiring us who are academically inclined. So, but education is important to both, to all of us, legacy, college readiness, and tours. We are consulting, and it's Erica Morris is the president. Everybody knows her, but unfortunately, she's not here today because she's undergoing medical treatment for cancer. She had a surgery yesterday. It went well, thank God. And so she's recovering. But Legacy Tours, for those who do not know, is a consulting firm for college readiness for students. It can be a very daunting task when parents and students have to figure out and navigate their way. And it could be overwhelming, but we take that stress away from you. So, so you can call us at any time and we can assist. So I'm just going to say quickly about the virtual college fair.
Well, before we even get into the college fair, I want to just give our listening audience somewhat of a base on, whether on a little bit more, I guess, of a foundation about entrepreneurship, about higher education, about being a tradesman, and the benefits associated with either. I love the work that you're doing in helping students with the daunting task of filling out those college educations, because I can tell you when I was filling them out, I was like, what? And write essay and what? So that is some amazing work that you're doing. But can we talk a little bit first about some of those benefits? Now, let me just hear from our two entrepreneurs, Rachel, and I'll be coming right back over to you. But when it comes to making the decision to be an entrepreneur, to make provision for about the fact that you have to level up, you have to level yourself up in order to become the expert, in order to level your family up, in order to be able to have more and to do more. So what was it that caused you to go? I know you are also college educated, Jay, because you graduated. What that was, Magna cum, what you do?
Magna cum laude, yeah. That's,
so you were a smart guy, right?
That means I could retain enough just for that test.
So Jay, what was it that interested you or made you decide to go and get college educated?
Well, I mean, it's just, once again, it's just same thing with nutrition is you following eating well, you following people in your environment. I had an uncle. He was an accountant. I was like, I want to be like my uncle, my father's a Green Beret. I say, I want to join the force. He said, ain't no money in that, son. So I said, okay, I guess I got, so daddy said, nope. So next best thing, my uncle, who was the oldest, was, the patriarch. So I just went that route. It was something I wanted to do. It was either that or being a pilot. And I just took that route and got my bachelor's in accounting, came home, started to work, started the master, started to move up. And to be honest, just got lazy, just say, okay, this is enough education, yeah. Because I went straight off from high school, made the common mistake that I could take a little break and I can finish this off. And so just went through. And to be honest, I had a successful professional career. Like I told most people, so now, even though my profession is the accounting field, my passion is the fitness field. So I was able to, and I like the conversation you brought up because it's marrying two worlds. So when I hear people speak about which one is this, which one is that, that's where I could say my profession allowed me to easily transition into my passion because I was working on my passion while I was in the professional realm. And to be honest, the lifestyle that I have now, I would not have had this if I started off with my passion and not got a degree to move forward in my profession. Okay. So when I hear certain people say that, I'm working for no one, I don't mind that mindset. But it seems that there's especially now with the younger generation, I may get some flack for that. I ain't working for no one. I'm not going to be like my parents who worked for 30 years. I understand that you don't have to stay someplace for 30 years, but there's value in a college education. Okay. There's value in a setting. There's value in getting a certificate. There's value in letting someone know that you took the discipline, that you were committed enough to educate yourself, to certify yourself, because that's what you may know how to do it. But there's something about someone who put in the work to get a certification, and that's what I believe in. Okay. And I also believe if you're going to make mistakes, which we all do, make it on someone else's time, and then move forward, learn from that mistake, and then transition into what you want to do. But I think I think we're moving away from the stigma of, oh, you don't have a college degree, to now, I don't need no college degree. Who needs that? That's, so I think we need to find a balance where maybe college is not for me, maybe a trade is for me, but there is value in certifying yourself because, yes, at a certain level, you will make it. But when it comes to those big contracts, people want to know that you're certified. Yes. So that's where the value comes in for me.
Well, Shay, I'll be back to you in just a second because I want to talk to Rachel. Because Rachel, I know that you're from your school. The school that you're representing is France, right? We are a safe people. So when we venture out to college, most of us go to our neighbors next door. We don't go as far as Europe, right? We don't go, maybe if you are a chef or into what is it, cuisine, you would stretch and the culinary arts. And so, what are the advantages for Bahamian students? First of all, is it a trade school? And what are the advantages? What are the opportunities for Bahamians to level themselves up at your organization, at your college?
Sure. So it's called CFAM, which stands for Franco-American Management School. So students that come to CFAM are just students who are looking at going into business. And of course that includes entrepreneurship as well as a lot of other areas. And the advantages of CFAM, what is unique about our program is that we actually offer dual. So students spend 3 years at our campus in France, and then they go a fourth year to the US or to Canada, and they earn the degree from a partner university as well. So that is kind of a quick summary of the program. And the degree that they earn from CFAM is a general management degree, international, that is, management degree. And the degree they earn from the partner is in whatever major they choose that the partner has. So why would we offer this kind of program? What are the benefits of this? To kind of answer your question. So the way that I look at it and what attracted me honestly to starting to work there was this idea of the international exposure. So we are a small community. We're 300 students. The staff, faculty and staff are very small, so we call ourselves the C family. So it's a really good environment for taking a student from somewhere far away where they've never left home, taking them into this community, but at the same time giving them the international exposure. And being a business school, and specifically the accreditation that we have in France, it is a very practical accreditation. So it is based, a lot of the levels of the accreditation are based on the kind of jobs that students have when they graduate, what kind of salary they're making. So it is very practical. And there are 2 different internship requirements during the time at CFAM. There's a 6-month internship, there's a 2-month internship. So our students are out there getting the practical training, and they can do their internship anywhere they want. So if we have a Bahamian
That's
student
awesome.
and they want to come back and do it in the Bahamas, they can. If we have a student that wants to go do it in Hong Kong, they can. And so I think in a nutshell, that is what the advantages of our school is. It's exposing the students to all these different cultures while getting a very practical degree. And it's multiple continents, but opens them up to going pretty much anywhere in the world.
Great.
With these internationally recognized degrees.
And that's amazing. One of, I love my country. I love living in the Bahamas. I love my countrymen. And more than anything, it is a burning desire to see them fully become, and that's for a number of reasons. I remember when I graduated from high school, I was a recipient of a Junior Achievement Scholarship. Life happened though, and I had some setbacks, right? So right out of high school, I was pregnant, I had a child, so I had to delay my college education. After having my first child, once you stop, it's a little bit more difficult to start again because the responsibilities of life. Now you have a child that you have to take care of. Your time is more restricted. Then I got married. And so it just got away from me. But having the opportunity later in life to go back, to finish up some things, to get certified in certain areas, really boosted my self-esteem and helped me to recognize the limitless possibilities that exist in the world, which is why I love the fact that your college is in Europe, because it will expand the minds of Bahamians to see more to the world than just this, this beautiful country that we live in, but that the world is essentially our playfield if we have the right credentials, if we have the right certifications or the right education backing us. So as we talk about education, Shay, and being an entrepreneur, how has your college education helped you, or your certifications help you to serve your clients better? And did you start out with all of these certifications? And then, Rachel, we're going to come back and talk to you about how we can get Bahamians to be the benefit opportunities if they cannot afford to pay for a college education. So I'll be back to talk to you about that. But Shay, go right ahead.
Thank you so much. DeQuesta, I definitely grew up in a time where my parents and my grandparents at the time did not put in too much effort outside of high school in terms of higher education. But one of the things I can tell you is that I kind of opposite of Jay. I started entrepreneurship and then pursued my college education, my degree. But when you look at entrepreneurship education, it aids people from all socioeconomic backgrounds to think, I would say, outside of the box, and also to nurture the unconventional talents and skills. And plus it also creates that opportunity of, I call it social justice, and it also helps to stimulate the economy. So when we think of higher education now, I think there's a balance to the thought process of someone going out of the academic fields or a skill field to educate or to level up themselves, At the time, I remember some 6 years ago when I was thinking about going back to school, I was in that place where I was torn between, am I going to need this or am I not going to need this as an entrepreneur? But what I find is education, educating yourself, training, skill set is always a way to level up, and it's powerful. You cannot take education away, and there's always ways to improve your skill set, and it transcends to anyone that you touch or come in contact. Just touch, a lot of I have 4 young adults that I gave birth to, yes. And one of the things I always say to them, they have this entrepreneurship in their blood, and I say to them, in everything that you want to do moving forward in life, education and educating yourself is always something that you can use to improve any facet of your life. And so when we look at the balance, I think the stigma has been removed now for a very long time as it relates to higher education, whether you go in an academic route or you go in the training skill set route. But I think it's important to always improve in every area of your life, whether an entrepreneur or you work for a company, a 500 Fortune company. I think the skill set of learning anything new, definitely, even if you're a stay-at-home mom, is something that you can use to level up your life and the community or the world as a whole.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Coach Shay King. And, you know, Donovan said something interesting as it relates to the generations that are behind us, because they have a whole different way of thinking. Sometimes it could be a microwave approach where they want everything and they want it overnight and they want it to happen fast. And sometimes there's a bit more of a disciplined approach as to process and following process. But the one thing is certain, that it takes effort from the individual to seek out opportunities to up level. Now, let's just be real in our conversation today. And in being real, we would understand that a college education is out of reach for many as it relates to the cost of college education. Some people have a college education and work forever to pay those bills off. Can't get the degree unless you pay it off, right? You can't get it in hand unless you pay those. Some people start college and can't complete college because of the astronomical costs associated with getting a degree. And everyone in our country is not economically able to send their kids off to school. You know, we do have elites, we do have high class, we do have middle class, and then we have lower class, right? So there are many different socioeconomic classes of people in our country, as in anywhere in the world. And so with that in mind, that you know, unless you work really hard, and our local university is an option that many students take advantage of because they can be home, they can work, they can pay. And for those who are desirous of stretching beyond the Bahamas and going to college outside of our walls, per se, and getting exposure in other countries, they understand and recognize that there is a cost and a high cost associated with that. So if they want to level up their lives and have access to all the way over there in France, what are the scholarships? What are the stipends? What are the opportunities available for foreign students? Because there may be a parent listening to us right now who is really desirous of having their child attend college and see no way. Give them a way. Give them a way.
So there's a few different things to address. Firstly, even though we're on the US system, CFAM in France, we don't have the same kind of fee structure that they've come to expect from other universities, specifically in the US. So the cost is already quite a bit less than those schools. So we're looking at between the first year is about 9,000, the second year is about 8,000, the third year is 4,000.
No, wait, so hold on a second. Yeah. Not semester, right? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Per year, yes.
Okay.
Per year. So it is quite a bit less. And those, we don't have block tuition. And so the students, actually, the first thing they can do is they can reduce the hours that they're taking. It might take them a little bit longer, but if they need to pay less at a time, that's 100% possible. They just take fewer courses. They will pay per course. And it's about 212 euros per course hour. So it's quite a bit less than what they've come to expect. The fourth year, if they go to the US, they just pay to the US university. That's also something we wanted to make accessible to all of our students. So there's a few options to have. For example, there's an exchange option to two of our partners where they actually pay the CFAM fourth year fees, even though they're studying in the US, which is around 11,000. So firstly, just to keep in mind, the prices are not quite as astronomical as what they're becoming in a lot of places. Obviously, some of our partners are a lot more than that. The fourth, again, we wanted the fourth year to be accessible, so there are options, and there are scholarship options to some of the partners, et cetera. So as far as the first 3 years at CFAM, like I mentioned, they can take reduced hours. If the students work hard and have a high GPA, we do scholarship a course per semester. So that can come out to be around 630 euros. Like I mentioned, 212 euros per course hour So around $800-900 can be reduced, and they can maintain that as long as they are maintaining that GPA, which is about a 3.8. And then finally, there are no restrictions as far as where a student on a student visa in France is allowed to work. There is a restriction on how many hours per week, so it's 20 hours per week. And the kinds of things that I recommend to students that perhaps don't speak French is, I see advertisements and things all the time for like English language tutors. There's always an opportunity to give English lessons to someone somewhere in France. So they can find these kind of side jobs as well to make it affordable to them. And additionally, I mentioned the 6-month internship requirement. And if the student carries out that internship in France, it is actually a law that they be paid for the internship. And that can also be the case if they go to other countries as well. In other countries, you can't really guarantee it because it can depend, as we all well know, kind of in general with internships. But in France, it is a law to be paid. So there are definitely ways to make it accessible to students. So
okay. And are those prices inclusive of room and board, or is that like a separate cost?
That is separate. So we don't have dorms because I think I mentioned we're quite small. So we help our students to locate student resident apartment buildings. There are several around our campus and around the city. And so the cost, again, with that is around 500 euros a month, something like that. And they also have the right to a government stipend for their rent, even as non-French citizens. So there's ways to cut corners there too. It's not a huge additional cost.
Okay.
And then meals would be based on their own, grocery shopping. It would be based on them.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. That the option to me is attractive as an adult student. I want to jump up and come now, right? But I'll tell you, like, I'm a homebody. I'm a home girl. I go away 3 days maximum, and I am ready to come home, right? My son is so different. When he graduated from high school, he was ready to go to college. He did all the legwork. He got accepted in his college. I went to drop him off. I cried. I must have lost 9 pounds, didn't eat for about 3 months, but homeboy was ready to go. My daughter was a different story. No, she didn't want to go. She stayed home, right? So from a mindset perspective, and Rachel, I'll be back to you shortly, but from a mindset, we don't like to go far. We don't like to venture far from home. If you look within our communities, you would see many different nationalities of people who have come from far and wide to live and work in the Bahamas, to study in the Bahamas. But typically, it's not something that Bahamians like to do, right? From a mindset perspective, how can we switch from the safety of being so close, just a flight, a $300 flight or $600 flight away, to actually being in a totally different part of the world, 8-hour time zone or 13-hour time zone difference, far away from family? What is the mindset that's required to successfully, because you have that homesickness for a while, but then it should wear away. Talk to us about the mindset of that type of student that has the hunger, that drive and hunger to get this degree at a more reasonable rate and avail themselves of an opportunity like Rachel is sharing with us.
Right. So it seemed like we had a similar story with the junior son of my mother and I. I was off, you know what I mean? And we went in the time where you had to buy phone cards and to call box. I was like, hey, I'm cool, But,
you old.
I guess son's different. We're like, yeah, we love you, Mom, but we chilling, So there has to be, what got me through is that I understood that we didn't come from a place of wealth. So I had to make it happen. You know what I mean? So I've been to school with individuals who people had means, I guess, so they didn't take it as serious and got money for the school fee, but was just chilling for that semester. So it goes back to the mindset of why, and I spoke with this in the book, your why and who are you attaching your why to? So the why and the who. Why is that I wanted to get a college education. My parents pushed me towards getting a college education. and the who is that I wanted to do it for them. So I wanted to be a success, you know, and part of being a success was getting this college degree. So, and part of the discipline came too, and that's why I always make sure parents or encourage parents to get their kids involved in sports, because sports give you discipline. I think Ms. Dean spoke with it earlier, but having skills and having transferable skills, having the discipline in sports to get up early, to go to the routine, day in, day out, is the same sort of skills needed to have the discipline to go to school, to not, because no one is watching you. No one is, even if you're taking attendance, there's no penalty except when the grades come out. So the discipline of, I have to get this done. And now, the way the world works now, I think maybe before we're not going that far. We're not going this place too cold, this place too that. I think now that the world is like, it's in the palm of our hands, I think there'll be more students and parents pushing to, looking forward to this opportunity. I am ready. Clearly, wife and kids. I mean, that might make it a hard sell.
Rachel, the two of us coming, okay?
yeah. So I love it. I mean, the opportunity, and then what you have to understand is that the value of exposure is priceless.
Yes.
And that's one of the things you got from just being. I went to school in Florida, but road trips taught me certain things, and just meeting different people from different parts of the U.S. And different. So you understand that the U.S. is not Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So when you meet people from up north, they have a different view on things. You meet people from the Midwest, they have a different view. Even though they have the same color, they just have different views. Like, so prime example, down south, we eat fish and grits. Up north, they eat fish and spaghetti. Both of us think both recipes are gross, but that's the mindset.
Right.
So you have to have the mindset to finish what you started, the mindset to know that people are depending on you and counting on you, and the mindset that school is not easy from their child.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy for parents to sacrifice money, because money can be put elsewhere. College education, even though what we're talking about now is more affordable than most, that money can be put elsewhere. So once you, and these things you get a great appreciation when you become a parent. So once you go with the understanding that I need to do this for me, I need to understand people invested in my life to get me to this point. So I have a responsibility to do the right thing. I think those sort of thoughts, that kind of mindset will get you through.
Okay, great, Donovan. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, because it is a mindset. It is a discipline. Times get hard, money get low, unless, of course, you are what we call privileged, and you don't have to worry about where that money coming from. But there are many situations as we try to level up ourselves that, could get in the way of us getting our college educated degree if that's what we want to go after. That I push my kids to go to college. However, I know that back in the day, like when I was being reared, parents were of the view that you finish high school, you get a job, you find a good man, you get married, you have some children. that was like the cycle. And even today, you have some parents that encourage their kids to, when they finish high school, to find a good job. There are certain jobs that parents think are the right type of jobs for their kids. And so there's this safety net that could be rooted in the parent not wanting the kid to go. They don't want to lose contact. They have their fears about what could happen and the dangers of the big wide world. But there are some parents who are eager for their kids to have those opportunities. Rachel, as we begin to talk more about how we set the best foot forward, because, earlier in the show, we were talking about, how families that have find access to food, a basic need is food, right? Some may find a college education not a basic need, not a sacrifice need. And I can tell you, when I was filling out my college application, and maybe Chriselle is there, they said to write an essay to submit along with your application. I don't know if that's still a criteria. But of course, I wrote an essay, but there was no one to really review this essay. There's no one to say, okay, when you submit this application, these are the best tips. To that parent out there that really wants to give their kid a chance to get a scholarship, a chance to get accepted into university, How do you support them? What do you do to help look at those applications and make sure that the child's personal brand is on point, and that what you're representing on paper is truly what the child is, so when they get there, everything kind of lines up? So, Chriselle, how do you support parents? What can they look for from you should they come to you to say, I want to apply for a scholarship for my child? I know you're doing a project now for 11th and 12th graders, but if they're saying, hey, I really eagerly want my child to have an opportunity, what should they do starting from grade 10, and what do you do to help them?
Well, it's a good question, Patricia. What Legacy would do, first of all, we try to encourage parents to not choose for their children, because that can be a very dangerous thing. You can end up spending money on an education that is not wanted by the child. And that's just naturally being a parent. But once the child has an idea of what he or she wants to do, and I say an idea because most times they end up changing, which is quite fine. Then we of course, your grades have to be at a certain level. We try to choose an institution that is the right fit for the correct choice. And then location is another thing. Some students don't want to go where it's cold. Some students don't want to go where it's far. And then some students want to go where they can party a lot. And then that's when you see the Bahamian woman mother will walk with those seeds for that child, right? but we do everything that we can. And I can say Ms. Morris, Erica Morris, will go above and beyond. There are some students, they are so academically inclined, but the funds, the monetary funds is not there. And so we do everything that we possibly can to give that child a chance, a fair chance, because education is important. Although, mind you, when I was growing up, I was like, the only way I'm going to go away to school is what I choose to do. I have to go. At that time, my career choice was aviation. So I embarked on that for a bit. Like Mr. Rose said earlier, life happens. But for me, I was gifted with some talent. So that is what I do nowadays. But I would encourage everyone to get a good education, whatever that is to you. It can be a vocational skill. It could be academic, even the academic, some form of it is good, even if you don't go to a bachelor's or master's, but get certification in something. It's important. It's not a fad, and it's not you getting it to make you better than anybody else. It's life skills.
Yes. And
very, very, very important. So we invite our parents to come in with their children. We have the conversation, and we want to make sure that, hey, this is what you want to do. This is the best way to go. And in some cases, well, for grade 10, we can start there as well, because that's the direction that you want. You should start there, because at that level, you are choosing your subjects at school based on your career choice.
You should be.
Yeah, it should be.
Yes.
But that's what we do. And so we encourage, we do the consultation throughout the years. From 10, if they want to start their 11, we're there for them. And we will do our best to make it happen.
Great. Great. And it's great that we have organizations like yours that really help children or young adults to be able to go after their dreams. Guys, we'll be right back on the other side of this break.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Burger King Nassau is taking spice to new heights with the new Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwiches. Enjoy your choice of a flame-grilled Whopper or crispy chicken filet topped with chipotle sauce, guacamole, jalapenos, cheese, lettuce, tomato, all on a fresh potato bun. The new Baja sandwiches at Burger King Nassau pack plenty of flavor, and with an ice-cold Pepsi and fries or onion rings, it's the perfect way to fill your day. The Baja Whopper and Baja Crispy Chicken Sandwich are only available at Burger King Nassau, where taste is king.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Do you know you can get your business cards designed and printed for as low as 18 cents a card? If it's a poster you want, you can pay as little as $6 a square foot. If your print needs are short or long run, digital printing, wide format, or print consultation, call the best. Call Print Masters. Print Masters' goal is to provide its clients with the highest level of personal, professional service at an affordable price. Technology also makes working together efficient and easy. Laminations, business cards, flyers, posters, window and floor decals are just a few of the digitized print services offered at Print Masters. Call 302-2361, 302-2361, or visit us at the Nassau Guardian Building in Oaksfield. Print with the best. Print with Print Masters.
When I got prostate cancer, my family didn't know if I was going to live. At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, within days, I got an appointment. They presented me with treatment options, and we set up a robotic prostatectomy. When my scans came back, there are no signs of cancer. They don't see you as a number, they see you as a part of the family. I'm going on with my life. That's a real gift.
Call us at Cancer Treatment Centers of America.
And welcome back to the Hit Back. I am Duquesa Dean hosting today's show. So excited to be here with you and would love to get your feedback. If you believe a college education is important, please text into our line and say yes. That's 422-4796. If you believe that a trade is better, type in a text in and say trade. We'd like to get feedback from they believe the best education level or profession is. Looking forward to hearing from you. Text 422-4796. Guys, as we begin to close our show today, I want to share a story with you about not so long ago. We visited one of the family of islands where we had an event for young people. At one of the events, a young girl teared up, and she was really, as we started to engage in our conversations about limitless dreaming and that, we can do anything we want to do. One of the young girls got really, really emotional, and she shared with one of our mentors that it didn't make sense for her to dream because her family was poor and her dreams would never be realized because there would be no opportunity. She had to stay and she had to work to help her family, to help make money to take care of the family. So leaving was not an option. And many kids are in a situation like that where they come out of school and they have to stay to help their parents take care of the other children coming up and of the household responsibilities and bills. And it really touched me to the core. And it hurts to realize that not every child in our country has the same opportunities. Some people have better odds because of their access to money and their access and relationships with other people. I wish beyond any other wish that every child would have the opportunity to pursue their dreams and to have support, if not from their families who are unable to help them, but certainly, like, we have, small business support organizations, and you have organizations like Scholarships from Junior Achievement. Some of the sororities offer scholarships as well, and just making sure that children know that those sorts of opportunities are available, but they just don't fall in your lap. We have to search those opportunities out from the moment we know that we want better for ourselves, we want better for our families, we want better for our future kids. Then it takes a little bit of personal responsibility to say, how can I get this? Who do I need to connect with? What are the opportunities available? What are the grades that I need? What are the social programs that I need to be attached to? Like, what do I need to do? And do that. I am of the belief that the universe responds to our acts of faith and our actions and bring into alignment the things that we want. It may not be overnight. It may not be quick. But if we continue consistently working for it, the possibility, and we're never too old to have success. If we're 70, we can still get that degree. We're never too old to give up on our dreams, and our circumstances may be temporary, but our potential is limited if we just believe in ourselves and put the work in to help us become the best version of ourselves. So as we close the show today, I'd like to ask Shay to just share a little bit about why you've stuck with the entrepreneur journey, because there may be someone out there too afraid to step into my own dreams. When I thought about it, my mom was like, no, you better stay there and get that paycheck every week, right? And so what is it that gives you the courage to, in 2 minutes or less, the courage to continue on that journey of being self-employed?
Well, one of the first things I can say is when I was in that valley of decision of kind of, giving up or going into maybe doing what it is that I do part-time and looking for another job, I took the approach of, let me see what are the benefits and how they looked versus, the just working sometimes 24 hours in a day, And so at the end of that kind of self-evaluation and discovery of what it is that I needed to do and how I needed to change, I recognized for me the benefits, the rewards was definitely on the higher end. And so because I was that girl that was always impromptu. I like flexibility. I like variety. I like creativity. I knew right away for me this was the way I needed to go. But in addition to that, I also considered that, having a big family and my girls are like all over the globe, getting their education. And I wanted to be able to also be an example for them as well, because while they were pursuing higher education, they were also kind of talking to me a little bit about, my lifestyle and being a businesswoman and entrepreneurship. And so I would always say to them, you guys have the best of both worlds right now, because you are pursuing higher education and you also get to learn a little bit from what you see your mom do. And so I want to encourage persons that are thinking along the line of entrepreneurship. Let me tell you something, the value of being able to watch yourself take something very small or non-existent to a place where people are using and experiencing it all over the world is no such greater feeling of, gratification and just being able to say, yeah, you can definitely do that. And so I can tell you as a parent, now when I encourage my children, I agree with Giselle, to definitely encourage them to do what it is that they want to do.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Shay. Rachel, time's running out on us, Rachel. We do have a text here that this text is saying that they believe college is important, be it vocational or academic. And they're saying, hey, Rachel and Chriselle, Joanna here. My daughter is a CFAMer. So they're sending you a shout out. Listen, I know that you're somewhere important tonight that Bahamian students can come and participate in if they're interested in going to college. In 60 seconds or less, let us know where you are and how they can come to participate and apply for scholarships.
Okay, that's me. Got it. Okay, Chriselle Dean. You can call me at 446-9931, 446-9931. You can also go to our website, which is collegereadiness.com.
Okay. And what about your college fair? Who's that open to?
Fair, as we speak, it started at 5 o'clock all this week. We have 4 colleges that are presenting each night except for Thursday, Friday, which is 3. And it starts from 5. The last presentation is 9:30. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we have, of course, a special interest meeting with now.
Okay.
6 o'clock. St. John's College is 7:30, and then tomorrow evening 6 o'clock to 7:30. So tonight we have Lipscomb that is presenting, and also Rachel.
Good luck, Rachel.
Yes, tomorrow night it will be Georgia State and University and Hastings College. So that's again at 6, from 6 to 7:30. They're only accommodating 20 students per session. Each school has 2 sessions of 45 minutes.
Okay.
And these are face-to-face meetings. So all the questions that they have, they can come and the presenter can speak with them one-on-one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Dean. Bahamian parents, go ahead, Chriselle.
Sorry. So for those students who might not have registered as yet, they can go on to jabahamas.org. That will send them to our website, college.com, and then they can sign up for the remainder of the week and for tomorrow's special interest meeting.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Jay, 30 seconds to give us your final.
Thank you for having me, Cressler. I guess I have to do my shameless plug. If you're looking for exercise family where you can combine the perfectly fun and fun, excitement, and pain in a good way to make sure you attain the results, can reach out to us at JFitness. You can email us at jfitness242@gmail.com or contact me at 359-1156 or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, JFitness242.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jay. And for those of you interested in support from Coach Shay, nutritionist guru, go over to eatemotionallywell.com where you can find all of our contacts. We do have a texter coming in saying, depending on your goals, a college degree may or may not be important. For a job, yes, it is. To start your own successful business, it isn't necessary. History proves this. I want to close on that note. Because I want to share that your circumstances don't matter. Your background doesn't matter. What matters is your desire, your willingness, and your discipline to put in the work. Yes, we have economic, we have different levels of socioeconomic statuses in our country. And yes, it is hard to move between them, but because it's hard does not mean it is not possible. So Bahamian parents out there, if you're listening, Bahamian students, if you're listening, avail yourself of the opportunity. Now, I know Chriselle has to go, so you guys can log out. Avail yourselves of to visit the Junior Achievement College Fair that's being hosted by Legacy. Make sure check Rachel out. Europe is France is a wonderful destination. And understand that I want to just drive home the point that there are seasons in life. When we sit in hard seasons, it's not the end. Hard seasons give us the opportunity to be introspective, to be reflective, to create plans, and to take action on those plans. But in order to do that, we have to visualize our best lives. So as you think about your best life, what is your biggest, greatest vision for yourself? Who's with you? Who are you sharing that with? What are you enjoying as you live this big vision for your life? I want you to visualize that because it starts with the vision. From the vision, every other action happens. So if you visualize it and you clarify that vision, you can then begin to create a plan that can help you move between them and to improve your standard of life. I am Coach Tukwesa Dean. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Hit Back. Thank you to our guests, Coach Shay, Chriselle, Rachel, and Jay, and Precious earlier for being here. Take care, guys, and see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.